Hey everybody, this is Keith Williams. I'm here with a fun exercise for learning how to shift through first, second, and third positions on the cello. And this exercise is based on a familiar tune. Should be familiar to those of you old enough to remember the Meow Mix commercial. If not, Google that. It'll make you laugh. Okay, first thing, loose thumb. Definitely don't want to have a death grip here, and you don't want to have a flat thumb, but the thumb just needs to be touching for reference, and usually more or less opposed to the two finger. I'm working on the A string here because I'm going to use the D string for reference, but you can do this on any string. Okay, so here's the tune. We start in first position and tune ourselves up by using the open D string and the fingered 4, this finger right here. Very simple, okay? So that's just first position. So now we go to second position, and to do that we're just going to shift like this. And the 2 finger is going to land on the D, so what we need to do is tune up. What we're actually doing is go. If you like to hear the unison for the octave for some confidence, go ahead and do that. So here we go. So that's it. So first, second, and third positions, a la Meow Mix. Now, one of the things that you can do, and I think all of us when we begin shifting, we're concerned that our fingers are not going to land in the right place. Don't be afraid to slurp a little bit or to slide a little bit, and that can help you slowly build in the feeling of exactly how far you need to go. And also when you're playing faster, honestly, you're not even going to hear the slurps and slides. So let me show you what a sort of a sliding transition from second position to first position would sound like. That's pretty extreme. And you don't have to do it quite that way. It doesn't have to be quite that obvious, but it's totally fine to begin that way. Notice that there's another transition. There are many, many different ways that you can get from second position back to first position. Another thing you could do is you could go from the E and the C sharp like this. You could put your 3 finger on the C sharp instead of having the 1 finger there, and that'll put your one finger in exactly the right spot for the B. So that would look something like this. So there's a lot of different ways to shift backwards and forwards. The advantage of that last thing that I showed you of changing the finger position in the middle of the overall shift is you can get some really cool passaggio effects, I call them. That's a term borrowed from vocal technique. A passaggio is that transition between registers in the voice. So for example, going from upper head voice to falsetto in a male, you get that kind of little break kind of sound, and you can mimic that sound on the cello going backwards and forwards. So here's what I mean by that. If we wanted to go from first position all the way up to fourth position, like this, we could do it blindly. We could go like that, but at least my ear, and I don't know if you can hear it, but if I depress my finger and slide it along the string, I can actually hear a little bit of a slurp there. I'll make it more obvious now so that you can hear it. Okay, so that sounds kind of like that slide may not be preferable. One of the things that you may want to do is bring your, say, 4 finger there so that you don't have to slide quite as far. Notice that that's a very short slide. Okay, so instead of going 1 to 1, instead of doing that thing, you could go. And that gives a sort of what I would call a kind of a passaggio effect, that you hear this kind of almost like a little break. And that's a pretty handy technique to have to be able to shift that way. All right, well, I hope this was helpful. Enjoy Meow Mix, and you can do it on other strings too. Actually, now that I think of it, if you do it on the D string, then you're going to have some additional reference when you get to third position, or actually in the second position as well. So let's do that. To dial in the 4-finger position in the second position. So that's pretty helpful as well. So you can do this exercise on all the different strings. Enjoy. Bye.